No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour. Need sleepy. Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C Morning Show, part of the Billy C Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caliger, and it's time for the Billy C Morning Show. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the menu. Visit his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328. 912-268-2328. Tell him you love listening to him and watching him on this show, and he'll probably throw you a cannoli with your order. So check it out, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the JKJ Boxing Magazine. Subscribe today. It's for free. That's right. It's a quarterly magazine. It's out there for free. JKJ Boxing Magazine. You can get to it by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and clicking on the JKJ Boxing Magazine cover, which is located on the right-hand side. And each time there's a new magazine out, we will put the new cover up. Now, remember, you could download this magazine for free, or you can have it shipped to your home so you can read it in your grubby little fingers, like I like to do. So just visit the website, either subscribe or pay for the postage and have it sent to your house directly. Joining me right now is the man himself, Sal Rocky Cenicola. What's up, Sal?
Hey, good morning, Bill. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Getting ready for a good show. We're going to be cut short a little bit today, but tomorrow we got a bunch of stuff going on. Larry Hazard, I got an email from a listener to that's directed to Larry, so we'll read that tomorrow. We also got the blast from the past. We're doing a blast from the past on one of my favorite all-time fighters, and I'm sure you love this cat too, Jack Dempsey. What do you think about talking about him?
Jack Dempsey. Oh yeah, yes, the Manassas Mauler. Yes, he was unbelievable, relentless.
Yeah, you know, I always say about Jack Dempsey, if could you imagine if Jack Dempsey today was, if he was the size of a Klitschko or something like that, and was Jack Dempsey, his style, right? But he was the size of a Klitschko. Could you imagine how brutal he would be?
Brutal, relentless. Just he'd be just awesome.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I would love to. I would love to see that myself. But anyway, we got some stuff to talk about. I got some emails. We got some scores to get everybody caught up on. We got the fight results from this past weekend, including Errol Spence's.
I thought you said Errol Smith.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Errol Spence's destruction over Chris Algieri. Also, Krzysztof Glowacki. I pronounce it Glowacki, but it's pronounced Glowacki. His victory over Steve USS Cunningham. And a couple of other fights, including a real entertaining one from Friday night, Jesus Soto Karass against Yoshiro Kamagagi. But first, let's get a couple of emails. Let's read at least one email, Sal.
Absolutely.
The first one I wanted to read is from Alex T. And Alex T says, hey, Billy C., Jesus, where did this Mason Menard kid come from? I'm on these websites all day. I listen to your show every day, and I watch every fight on television, and I've never heard of this guy before. It's an interesting thing about this, Sal, because Mason Menard won a fight this past weekend, which we'll get to a little bit later. And, everybody's talking about him. It was a brutal knockout. Where'd this kid come from and everything else. And it's interesting because this kind of ties us with LDL TV and some of the stuff we do with them. I had reached out to the promoter of this kid several times. He fought primarily on the Louisiana boxing circuit. And, I had said, hey, we should do a broadcast and everything else. And the response from the promoter and the management team was that they didn't want to put the kid on TV or a webcast, and the reason was they didn't want the exposure, which I thought was awfully strange.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the reason they didn't want the exposure, the reason they didn't want it, was because they felt that somebody would steal the fighter from them. In other words, they felt that since they, had this kid and they were investing time and money in him, that they didn't want to risk him being snatched from, by another promoter, which is, you know how it is in this business. That happens a lot. And here's the thing, though. Here, this kid, he puts on a great performance, and the end result is nobody knows who he is. I just feel that if he had been on a broadcast or two, he would have more value at this point. What do you think?
Well, I think, of course, whenever you have a prospect like that, you want to showcase them. You want to slowly take the wrapping off the package to say, hey, guess what? We got something special here. Let's start highlighting and showcasing them. And it's a little short-sighted on the management team staff to think that, well, if we can't cough up the bucks and take him, he's going to be lulled away by Prince Charming in order to, there goes our investment. You got to be real short-sighted to have that mentality. You got to look at what you're doing with this guy. You have some preventive measures in place, sure, but man, fighters' years as a productive, tough opponent is only a couple of years. So you got to showcase and highlight him, get him out there, unpackage him, bring him up, cultivate a career. And you got to showcase and get him into the household name and make him exciting. So holding him back and not wanting to showcase is kind of, like I said, a little short-sighted.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so too. You're being a lot more kind than I. I think it's stupid.
Diplomacy.
Remember laughing. It's strange. What is it? Very interesting, but stupid.
Very interesting, but stupid.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think. I mean, to be honest with you, but anyway,
Johnson.
Yeah. And anyway, yeah, exactly. You can call me Ray. You can call me Jay, but you don't have to call me Johnson, But anyway, I agree with you with that. But we got another email. This one's from my man James Keister, and he says during the CBS broadcast, announcers were trying to play up the fact that Marcus Brown hit his opponent when he was down. First of all, he was going down, but he wasn't down yet. Secondly, until the ref jumps in, you're supposed to defend yourself at all times. Am I missing something? No, I think that the announcers today are. I just feel that they're controlling. They're altering what people are thinking in a way because their opinions are presented in a this is my way or you're wrong way, and I disagree. I mean, a commentator is supposed to technically be calling the action that's in front of him just to help the viewer along, not kind of try to paint a picture. If you were doing radio, it's a different story, but not try to change almost like what's happening in the political world with the media. I mean, well, I agree. A lot of times I'll watch fights without the volume on, Sal.
Well, and that sometimes is what I do as well. You hear, because we know the media today. I mean, I think during the 90s, I really took note and I was cognizant of the fact that, well, the news media, it's not just reporting the news, but they stimulate and they make the news. They create the news. They want to be a conduit, if you will, a vessel, a medium. Well, the same thing with some of these announcers. They want to get a little more involved in the fight game than what they should do is just announcing it. and with their opinions and everything else. It's just it is what it is. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be the medium. You want to relate. You want to announce. You want to do one thing, but try not to confuse it for another.
Exactly. I mean, you want to show and talk about what's happening in front of you. Nick Charles was a commentator who passed away not too long ago, and I thought that he did a really good job. And one of the things that he always said was, you gotta call the action as it happens in front of you. Just focus on what's happening in front of you. I mean, it's always nice to start referring to another fight or something like that, or a comparison. A lot of times, you'll compare a fight that's taken place live and maybe compare it to a fight that had happened previously. I mean, that's okay, but sometimes you're watching a fight and the commentators start talking about something that's not even related to what they're not even paying attention to the fight. And what I'm seeing is a lot of fans, their lack of knowledge is indicative of what they're being told, what's being shoved down their throats, and it's just kind of crazy, man.
It's a different world, different era.
James has a second part of his email. He says, in other news, I can't understand why people are excited for the possibility of a Floyd versus Manny rematch. The first one was dirt dull, and the second one will be overpriced. Will be an overpriced snooze fest. Fans of that kind can pay me $60 to watch my grass grow. This is from my man James. I guess you feel the same way as James does. I don't know, man. I kind of have a feeling that the second fight would be a little more interesting. I know it's going to be a hard sell, and I know Floyd, if the fight does happen, I know Floyd's going to be demanding a lot of money. He's going to demand the driver's seat 100%. And he'll try to sell the fact that it'll be more exciting. But I don't know, Sal. I have this feeling that the second fight would be a lot more entertaining. What do you think?
I think pretty much, the night we had that fight there, and you laid out the golden rule book here, and what we see happening is exactly what you told me that night, unfolding right before our eyes. And I said, I'm not going to want to look at that fight or watch that fight, but I'm curious. I would probably want to watch that fight. I don't think the results will be different, but I think it'll probably be a little more entertaining. I'd like to see if Pacquiao could try to cut off that ring this time and be effective when he gets Mayweather in front of Mayweather and crowds him so he doesn't have any room to go. But I don't know if he's going to be capable of it. I think Mayweather has his number, and it's going to be the same result. I think it might be a little more exciting, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think it would be more exciting. And, it all depends on Manny, and
Yes.
and whether it was BS, his injury, or not. Some people think that the whole injury was actually fabricated. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, and of course, Mayweather and Pacquiao, like I said, any fighter can be beaten any given night. And who knows? Maybe it'll be Pacquiao's night. Maybe he'll catch him with a shot. Maybe he'll have an opportunity. Because he did have one or two opportunities to catch Mayweather with a shot. He just didn't deliver it and follow up with it.
I don't understand why he wasn't, kill or be killed.
That's the mentality. You have a fight of that magnitude. That's what it's like anybody you're trying to coach or help. You can't put your arms down to lift somebody up if they're not willing to put their arms up to be lifted up. You can't want it more for somebody unless they want it as much or want it more. And that's what I felt. I wanted that damn fight. I wanted Pacquiao to do more because I thought he was capable of it. He didn't look like he wanted to do more. He just put the brakes on all the time. I don't know. Yeah, it was so mind-boggling because, being a fighter, you can put yourself in the ring, and you can see, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. Come on, go to there. Get him over there. And every time he had that opportunity, he just deferred and backed out or didn't follow through, and it was so frustrating.
Well, he was fighting like he was acting like Floyd Mayweather was Mike Tyson or something. I mean, he was giving him much
the
too
guy's
much.
not going to break an egg. How the hell are you going to be worried about getting hit?
And
you got to get hit. In order to land a punch, you got to give a punch.
Yeah, but not only that, Sal. The only way, obviously nobody's been able to do it yet.
No.
But I feel that the only way to beat Floyd Mayweather is to fight him with absolutely no respect. Like Marcos Maidana fought him in the first fight with no respect and landed a lot of shots. Came at him. But his style is wild. His punches are like lightning. By the way, for all the viewers and listeners out there, we are not taking a commercial break because we are doing a shortened show today. So we're going to try and stick around as long as we can. The bottom line is that you can't show him respect. I mean, I say Madonna's punches were like lightning, not because of the speed, because they don't hit the same spot twice. You never know where they're going to land. For a guy like Pacquiao, who does have hand speed and is accurate with his punches, I think that if they do have the rematch, Manny Pacquiao has to kind of just go balls to the wall and take no prisoners attitude and go after Floyd. I mean, end of story. That's what I would do.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bill, that's what we should have seen in Manny Pacquiao, that first fight. You're in a fight of your life. You rise to the occasion. You got to be relentless. There is no tomorrow. And you go out there and you put it all out there. That's what you are getting paid millions and millions of dollars for your fans to see. And you just let it happen. And we didn't see that sense of urgency, even when he was getting beaten. And I didn't see any spark. I didn't see any fire. I just saw him go through a waltz dance, like just go through the motions. And it was so frustrating. I couldn't believe it. He should have been, not to be so much analogizing like this, but he should have had that eye of the tiger. There is no tomorrow. I got to do this tonight. I'm letting it all hang out and letting it all loose, and I'm going to show the world what I've been talking about, what I'm capable of doing for years that I've been promoting myself. That's it.
Right. He needed to do it, and he didn't. And what bothered me the most was the excuses afterwards about the shoulder. And then even worse than that, what bothered me is he actually started saying he thought he won the fight, and other people are saying they thought he won the fight. I mean, listen. As much as I will admit I was rooting for Manny Pacquiao. I believe that at the end of that fight, Manny Pacquiao should have done what I believe all fighters should do when they lose, is give Floyd Mayweather the accolades for beating him. He didn't. Exactly. All he had to do was say Floyd was the better man tonight. And as much as I can't stand Floyd Mayweather, the man, the human being, you got to give him respect. I mean, end of story.
Exactly
and I do from a fighter standpoint. As a human being, I think he's the scourge of the earth, but that's a whole nother story. But as far as a professional fighter is concerned, Manny Pacquiao shouldn't have made any excuses. He chose to get in the ring, whether he had a hurt shoulder or not, almost hurt shoulder or not, hanging, his arm hanging off or not. I mean, he chose to get in the ring, so therefore you can't use it as an excuse. I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about that when it gets signed. This past weekend, Errol Spence, a 2012 Olympian in the welterweight division, improved to 20-0 with 17 knockouts when he scored a fifth-round KO, not TKO, KO, over Chris Algieri in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. And Chris Algieri was the hometown guy. He's from Long Island. Chris Algieri loses for the third time in his career, 21-3 right now, in fights that he lost to Manny Pacquiao and Prodankov. But 48 seconds into the fifth round is when Errol Spence stopped Chris Algieri, dropped him a few times. What I saw against Errol Spence was simply this, Sal. This is a guy that's got hand speed. He's got punching power, obviously, and he's got accuracy. And I think that unlike a lot of other young fighters that are being moved up, I do believe that Errol Spence was progressed correctly. And I think Chris Algieri obviously was the biggest fight and the best fighter on his resume so far. And he came through with shining colors. And this has been my whole point of why you progressively increase your level of opposition so that when you do get into a fight like this, you can perform. Now, you could safely say that Errol Spence is ready for that next step. And who's to say he didn't already take it with Chris Algieri? What's your quick thoughts?
I think you're exactly right. That's how you cultivate a good prospect into a world-class contender. And that's what we saw with Spence beating Algieri that night. And I saw the highlights. I saw what he did. He was very, very much into that fight, aggressive enough. And he just had his number that night. He just, you saw in Spence that he wanted to win that fight. He wanted to showcase. He wanted to make it happen. And he did. It was a great fight.
You know, the thing about Chris Algieri, I wonder about Chris Algieri, and my man Coach knows Chris well. I don't know if they're in the same gym now, but I know he's seen him train several times down in Long Island. But, you know, Chris Algieri, leading up to this fight, had some issues, some issues going on with his promotional team, the contracts, the division of the money, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm wondering if that didn't play part in this fight. I mean, considering Chris Algieri, and no disrespect to Errol Spence, but Chris Algieri has been in fights with some top-notch opponents, world-class opponents, including future Hall of Famers like Manny Pacquiao, and they weren't able to stop him. So, I mean, do we give credit to Errol Spence being more powerful than a Manny Pacquiao, better than a Manny Pacquiao, or was it just an off night for Chris Algieri? I guess that's going to be the topic here, you know?
That's exactly. And, you know, you could look at it from every angle, and definitely you have an argument for some sides here. That's the beauty of the fight game. You never know. As I said earlier, any fighter can be beaten any given night. Styles make fights. One style might be a little bit more good for an opponent to attack on a certain style to defend. You know, it's the beautiful game of boxing. You almost have to flip the coin when you got two world-class fighters in there. You look at the variables that they both are going to have to face and what they both have to offer, and you never know what's going to happen because you never know what's in that fighter's heart, mind, spirit, soul, and just desire when that night they enter into the ring.
Well, the fight that I was really looking forward to, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that fight, but the co-main event featured WBO cruiserweight champ Krzysztof Glowaski. I've been calling him Glowacki because it's kind of spelled that way. But Krzysztof Glowaski was who beat Marco Captain Huck, who was regarded as the best cruiserweight in the world in his last fight. Stepped in against two-time cruiserweight world champion and heavyweight title challenger Steve USS Cunningham. And you know, Steve Cunningham had the height and arm reach over Glowaski. I thought it would be a good fight. He is starting to age, pushing 40 years old, USS Cunningham. But Glowaski showed why he's a world champion and why he's rated, at least by our rankings, as the number one cruiserweight in the world, as he improved to 26-0, dropping Cunningham a couple of times and going on to win a unanimous decision to improve to 26-0 with 16 knockouts. Cunningham drops to 28-8 with 13 knockouts. The way the judges scored it: 116-108, 115-109 twice. My thoughts on Glowaski is that he's the real deal, and you know what I love about this kid is that he's that kind of fighter, Sal, that you say, all right, kid, not that he was down on the cards, but he's the kind of fighter you say, okay, kid, you're down on the cards, you need a knockout to win, and you'd expect him to look at you and say, as a trainer, you'd expect him to look at you and say, okay, coach, and go out there and knock out his opponent. I mean, that's the feel I get. And another thing I found amazing was Steve U.S.'s Cunningham, although he's out of Philly, and this fight was in Brooklyn, you would think that a lot of his supporters would have come, make the 3-hour drive to Brooklyn, and it sounded to me like Glowacki had more followers at the Barclays Center than Cunningham did, and I just got to give a lot of credit to the Polish boxing fans because they really come out and support their fighters.
Well, they do, exactly. Yeah, like the Italians would come out, the Polish would come out. It's part of that whole fight game. A lot of fight fans that are so into the boxing that they want to take the time, go see a live fight. There's a million reasons why a fan can be attracted to boxing, because it's a vicarious thrill. They're watching their guy. They can see how they do it, and it's good to see the support by the fans.
And I love Polish women, by the way. So if there's any single Polish women out there, I'm available. In the light heavyweight division, which is kind of this fight turned out to be kind of questionable. There's a lot of discussion over this fight, but both fighters going in were undefeated in the light heavyweight division. Marcus Brown and Radovi Kalajazdik, which I know let's just refer to him as Hot Rod because that's his nickname. When the smoke cleared, Marcus Brown won a questionable and controversial 8-round split decision over Hot Rod. The way the judges scored it, 76-74, 76-75 in favor of Brown, and 76-74 in favor of Hot Rod. Brown got credited for a knockdown when Hot Rod clearly slipped. Then the bottom line was that whole situation about getting, hitting him while he's down and everything else. I mean, there was just several different issues in this fight that have become controversy. And I'm going to be curious to see what Larry Hazard says tomorrow about that in terms of, referees not doing their job, in my opinion, at least on a professional level. And let's call out the judges too, because what the hell fight are they watching? We both know, Sal, that it's a lot different watching it on television than it is sitting there against the ring apron, and you see and can judge punches landing and what kind of damage they do a hell of a lot better than what you can see and feel, so to speak, from your couch. But I mean, come on, it just seems these are the reasons why we have so much trouble in this sport maintaining, not getting, but maintaining fans. True. Unless you want to have a robot starting to judge or so and count the scores and do all this, it's subject to maybe some human error, and let's admit it. It's funny. I remember you say robot. I remember an old Twilight Zone, I believe, or an Outer Limits. No, really, this is true. I don't know if you ever saw this one, but I believe it was a Twilight Zone where boxing had become outlawed. Human beings weren't allowed to fight anymore, and these guys would remember they would take the robots and this one fighter actually pretended he was a robot. Yes. And he fought, and it was a pretty wild fight. How they did he get killed? No, he didn't. He just got beat up really. Did he get beat up pretty bad? But I saw that one. That's right. Oh man, that was a good one. I remember that one now. Yeah, he's pretending he's a robot. And he went out there, and anyway, I think I have it somewhere. But some other action we'll get to real quick in a fight that I knew. And this makes me sick because I'm a big fan of Gary Russell Jr. I really am. I think this kid has got all kinds of talent. And I just, I don't understand what the problem is. I don't know if he's prone to injury or what. But they are overprotecting this guy like a big brother with a little sister. I mean, it's unbelievable. But Gary Russell Jr. improved to 27-1 when he destroyed Patrick Hyland, which I knew he would. In the second round, he knocked him down at 1 minute and 33 seconds. You know, Dax Khan, who will be breaking down the two big fights scheduled for this weekend on Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, he picked this as one of his fights to talk about last week, and quite honestly, I'm a little surprised because I didn't think that this fight was going to be at all competitive, and it wasn't. I mean, no disrespect to Patrick Hyland, but he didn't deserve to be in the same ring, and this was a championship fight. You know, I mean, you know, Sal, at least, you know, if we're going to be force-fed and you get these one-way showcase fights shoved down our throat, which seems to be the norm today and not the exception, at least they could give us competitive fights for championship fights. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think a championship fight should just be what it's called, a championship fight. Have two of the best fighters out there as always, as it's always been, and try to just see who is the better man that night. And yeah, you know, like I said, when you're trying to cultivate a fighter, bringing them up, turning a prospect into a contender and a contender into a champion. You know, you get fed a certain level of talent all along the way, and then you get stepped up talent. But by the time you're fighting for a championship, you're supposed to be in there with the world's best.
A fighter that in the junior lightweight division that I'm pretty high on, Jose Pedraza, they call him the Sniper. He improved to 22-0 with 12 knockouts when he beat Stephen Smith. Whether you want maybe Stephen Smith or Stephen Smith, it's spelled Stephen, but I think his name is pronounced Stephen. Smith drops to 23-2 with 13 knockouts. Went to the scorecards 117, 110, and 116, 111 twice, giving Jose Sniper Pedraza the win and the retention of his title. Also on that card, coming out of Foxwoods in Connecticut, was the return of Chad Dawson, who fought Cornelius White, who's not a bad fighter. I mean, he's become kind of a gatekeeper in that division. And Bad Chad, and I call him Bad Chad, not because he's a badass, because he's just bad these days. But Chad Dawson stopped Cornelius White in the fourth round to improve to 34-4 with 19 knockouts. Cornelius White loses for the fifth time in his career. He's now 23-5, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Chad Dawson from here on out. On Friday, we had a very entertaining fight between Jesus Soto Karass and Yoshiro Kamagagi. The fight was exactly what I thought it would be, as long as Jesus Soto Karass came to fight. Sometimes you get two different fighters with Karass, but the Soto Karass I love came to fight on Friday night, and Kamagagi always comes to fight too. The result was a draw. 97-93, one judge had it for Kamagagi, 96-94 for Soto Karass, and the third judge, of course, had it 95-95. This was a non-stop, back-and-forth, Sal Rocky Cenicola kind of fight, and they're talking rematch, and I hope it happens.
Well, that'll be a good, exciting fight. Absolutely.
There's no question. No question. At the end of the fight, Jesus Soto Karass said this fight was a war, exactly what the fans expected. The people truly won tonight. I felt really good in the ring, but Kamagagi was a true Japanese warrior. I feel we both delivered an exciting night of boxing. Kamagagi said, I'm still getting used to the time zone here, but I feel really good about my performance. Soto Karass did catch me a couple of times, but every time he did, he was met with my counterpunches. Soto Karass was the kind of fighter I was expecting to fight, a true warrior. Obviously, these two guys, after a fight like that, Sal, respect each other big time.
Yeah, you do. You know, that's what's the beauty of the boxing game. You see two guys trying to destroy each other and tear each other apart, but, you know, there is a mutual respect on a level like that. And you say, hey, you know what? We both gave it our best tonight, and this is how it went down. And, yeah, so you have a mutual respect, believe me.
The Lionheart Shabransky improved to 13-0 with 13 knockouts when Superman Finley, Derek Finley, wasn't able to come out for the fourth round. Finley drops to 23-19 with a draw on that undercard. And on Showtime Friday night, from the Turning Stone, with a promoter that I think is terrible for the sport of boxing. I'm not even going to give him the props, but Nikolai Popov and Stefan Young, they fought to a majority 10-round draw. The way it is now is Popov is 14 wins, no losses, and a draw, and Young, he comes in now is 14 wins, no losses, and 3 draws. That's the way they ended. So pretty even fight, ended evenly. And on the co-main event was the fight we talked about with the email earlier, Sal. Mason Menard knocks out Yudi Bernardo at 2 minutes and 11 seconds of the third round to improve to 31-1 with 23 knockouts. Bernardo drops to 21-1 with 15 knockouts. It was what people are calling a early candidate for knockout of the year, and it's just a shame that Mason Menard's people purposely have kept him out of the limelight. I think that, if they hadn't, the value of this knockout would have gone up even more, because the case now is everybody's wondering who he is, and if people did already know who he was, everybody that's involved would be making a lot more money for the next fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That's definitely what we expect and what we want to see, and they would be coming along the way they should, and you'll create the interest for fans to want to come back and see more.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's just jump out of boxing for a second.
Yeah.
And get people caught up on some of the other sports scores around the globe.
How are my Yankees doing?
Well, Yankees didn't play yesterday.
I know.
But they are doing pretty good. Their pitching staff is doing a lot better than I thought. And a lot of you Yankee fans have some high hopes. But in Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays topped the Red Sox 4-3. My Mets finally hit 500 behind a strong performance by who I think has emerged as our early season ace, Noel Syndergaard. He's 2-0 now. He fanned 8 batters to beat the Phillies 5-2. A couple of home runs by David Wright and Lucas Duda and Neil Walker. I mean, it was an exciting game. But here's the best part: Syndergaard is 2-0, and you know what his ERA is?
No.
0.90, below a 1.0 ERA. I hope this kid can keep it up. Thor is our ace right now. And for everyone wondering, Jacob deGrom, if you're a Mets fan like I am, Jacob deGrom had left the team because his wife was giving birth to their first child, and they had some really serious issues going on with the baby. It was touch and go. The baby's life was in danger, but I'm happy to report that everything looks good. As a matter of fact, Jacob deGrom pitched batting practice yesterday, and they're expecting him back in the lineup soon. So thank God for their baby coming out okay with the whatever illness or complications that they had. So I'm looking forward to Jacob deGrom's return. The Rockies beat the Reds 5-1. Marlins topped the Nationals 6-1. Nationals are in first place in the NL East. The Cubbies improved to 10 wins, 3 losses early in the season when they blanked the Cubs 5-0. Angels over the White Sox 7-0. Twins beat the Brewers 7-4, and the Diamondbacks beat the San Francisco Giants 9-7. Sal, in this game, there was a total of 29 hits between both teams. 16 hits for the Diamondbacks, 13 for the Giants. It sounds like a football, It's almost
it
like
sounds
a football
like batting practice.
I know.
Great.
29 hits between two
That'd
teams.
be exciting.
Over in the NBA, we had a couple of games. The Raptors 98 over the Pacers 87. Mavericks topped the Thunder. Really, really close game, 85-84. And the Warriors just keep on winning. They topped the Rockets 115-106. The Warriors right now 73 wins, only 9 losses. Obviously setting and breaking and continuing to set an NBA record. Their record at home, speaking of records at home, 39 wins and 2 losses. 41 games, they've only lost 2. It's amazing stuff for the Golden State Warriors. In the NHL playoffs, the Capitals beat up on the Flyers 6-1. They lead that series 3-0. One more game would advance the Capitals. The Wild beat the Stars 5-3 to get back into this series. The Stars are up 2-1 in that one. And the Kings and Sharks had a real tough game. The Kings prevailed in overtime 2-1 over the Sharks. They lead the series 2-1 as well. So that's pretty much wraps up some score. And I listen, you know how we always kind of look for some stuff that's going on in the news, and this is kind of sickening, Sal. So get ready, all right?
Oh boy, I always
come up.
My juices
going. I always come up with something that's kind of sickening. I don't know if you recall. I'm sure you do. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, Manny Pacquiao has been crucified in the media because of some of his outrageous statements against gay relationships, gay marriage, everything. Okay, referred to people that are gay as being animals, or when they're having sex, they're animals or beastly and all of this stuff. And his popularity clearly has suffered from it, at least here in the States. He lost some endorsements. A lot of fans went against him. There was some protests. He got kicked out of restaurants in L.A. I mean, all this stuff as a result of his comments that he actually didn't retract or anything. You know, he actually followed it up by posting some Bible verses and what have you. And as everyone knows, he's running for political office in the Philippines. And that's how they feel. I mean, the majority of the country feel the same way as he does. But it was released yesterday by the Washington Post that one of the Filipino presidential candidates, who's currently a mayor right now, Rodrigo Duterte, who's currently the mayor of Davao City, which is on a southern island of Mindanao in the Philippines, was referring to a gang rape that took place. Obviously a bunch of guys gang raped this woman. And he was quoted in the Washington Post as saying this: "I was angry because she was raped. That's one thing. But she was so beautiful, the mayor should have been first. What a waste."
Oh my.
Can you believe
God.
This is he was referring to, by the way, he was referring to himself, that he should have got first dibs on this chick. You know, and I mean, how can you come out and say that? Now, first of all, he's the front runner for becoming the president of the Philippines. What is going on with the Philippines and their outlook on life? I mean, do they have that much disregard for sexual preferences, or even in this case for women? He felt that he was angry that this woman was raped, but, nothing for nothing, he feels he should have been the first one online. Give me a break. What do you think about that?
I'm speechless. I mean, how do you shut me up? That's stunned me with that. That was wow. That's unbelievable. That's inexcusable. I cannot believe this. And this is a politician, and wow. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It's and everybody thought that what Manny Pacquiao, and I agree that Manny Pacquiao should have never said what he said.
No.
But it was, outrage here in the States because more people know who Manny Pacquiao is. Obviously, less people know who this mayor is, the front runner. But for him to come out, and by the way, it's not like he said this, taking a leak to one guy who happened to have a recorder on him. It's not like he said this behind closed doors. He publicly made the statement. This was a public statement that he made.
Unbelievable.
Just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
Too much.
It is. Anyway.
I can't say anything about it.
I know. Talking about some crazy stuff. Felix Sturm. It was released that when he fought Fedor Chudinov, which he beat and won the super middleweight title. It was reported the other day that he tested positive for a steroid.
I read that.
Yeah, and now they want to. He says it's impossible. I never did it. I'm going to open up the B sample. I want the B sample tested. Now this is crazy. I mean, I just don't understand. Now Lucas Brown, who went and beat Ruslan Shagayev over in Russia, and then all of a sudden he was mysteriously accused of testing positive for drugs. And the funny thing about him was that he claimed that he tested positive for a weight reduction drug, which makes no sense in the heavyweight division because they don't have to worry about their weight, And he's adamantly denying it. And this scenario has happened many, many times over in Russia, where you beat the Russian fighter. Next thing you know, it's in the public that you tested positive for steroids. And Lucas Brown is at the point where he doesn't want his image tainted, and he's denied this big time. Now on their own, they hired Hatton Promotions, Ricky Hatton's promotional company, hired an independent firm to give Lucas Brown a lie detector test, and he it came out that he passed it with flying colors. I just you would think that people would look. It's happened so many times, Sal, that people would start to look at these results that seem to happen in Russia a lot as not really being true. What's your quick thoughts on that?
Well, you've got to look at the source, of course, but there's, I mean, especially in Russia, they were doing blood doping earlier in the 70s and 80s for their athletes in the Olympics. They were accused of it, but they were also discovered to have done that. And you know what the blood doping technique was? Is you extract some blood that's from an athlete, and then before an event, you put that blood back in them, and the I think it's the red blood cells that carry the oxygen. You have more oxygenated blood cells going in your system, so it's going to help you with endurance level sports and other things. Also, probably increase your blood pressure. But anyway, I don't know. That's
listen. They've been doing that for a long time.
They've been doing that. They always look for the edge, the angle. Most people do, and you do it along the legal lines of what you could do. I mean, there's a difference when you go to a health food store and say, "Oh, what amino acids good for my conditioning or whatever I could take, and what could I do for this naturally?" Just getting a supplement that is FDA approved and everything else, versus using some kind of medication, some things here and everything else. It doesn't work.
I think of the Russian women wrestlers and the weight people, weightlifters. They all looked mannish, and back in the 70s and 80s, and you think today they must have been on something back then too. They didn't look too feminine.
No, and of course we didn't have the testing abilities back then as we do today.
No, but apparently they had the knowledge,
They had the knowledge. No, they were always a cut above when it came to sports, trying to look for the edge on that level. It's a shame.
Yeah, no, it is a shame. Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, we all wanted to watch that fight big time, and Thurman had to back out due to a questionable / controversial injury, accident, whatever. But it was announced late last week that the rematch is 100% official. June 25th, it'll be taking place at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. What's your quick thoughts on this fight finally happening?
Yeah, that would be great. That's going to be a good fight. I like that fight. That's going to be a very entertaining fight. You can see two warriors going there in battle, and I like that fight. Very good. I hope it does come to place, and it will. They'll make that happen now. That's going to be good.
Hey, Sal, I know we'll get a chance later in the week to talk about it, but your quick thoughts. I mean, this weekend, Triple G returns to the ring, and he's going to be taking on Dominic Wade. many people believe that it's not going to be that competitive of a fight. Dominic Wade is a quality fighter, but obviously has never faced anyone of the caliber of Triple G. Assuming Triple G gets by Dominic Wade, and if he doesn't, it might be down as one of the biggest upsets in the history of the sport. But if he does get by, do you see the showdown between Triple G and Canelo happening, or do you see another player coming into the mix for Triple G? I mean, so many people criticize Triple G for not having the big name on his resume, but I still don't see anyone willing to fight this guy. Are you there, Sal? Well, I guess not. We lost Sal. Sal's internet must have crashed, or his phone system. I don't know. But in any event, we will see if we can't get Sal back. But in the meantime, Triple G against Dominic Wade this weekend. I'm looking forward to it just to see the performance of Triple G. He seems to have kicked it up a notch in terms of the PR. I see his name in things other than boxing. Lately, he signed some decent contracts with endorsement contracts and frontline sponsorship type things where he's the spokesperson. He's also been seen at other sporting events, like I think he threw the first pitch out the other day for I think it was the Dodgers. Good stuff, and all of that is all good. And the co-main event is Roman Gonzalez, Chocolito Gonzalez against McWilliams Arroyo for the WBC flyweight title. I believe that that ought to be a decent fight as well. But in any event, hey, listen, we will be back tomorrow to do our blast from our past, which features former heavyweight champ and boxing Hall of Famer Jack Dempsey. Larry Hazard, Hall of Famer in his own right, is scheduled to join us, and we'll get his thoughts. I got an email that's specific for Larry, so we'll talk to him about that tomorrow. And as usual, if you do have an email or a question or comment or a concern, feel free to drop us an email. Billy at Talkin' Boxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, and I'll read it on air. Now, Thursday, my man Dax Khan is scheduled to come on. Normally, he's on yesterday, and today he was going to come on, but we do have to cut the show a little short today. But he will be coming on Thursday morning to discuss these two fights, the Gonzalez versus McWilliams Arroyo fight, and of course Triple G against Dominic Wade. He'll break them down, give you his predictions. I'll give you mine. We'll have some other fights possibly to talk about, but we're going to focus Thursday's show on Triple G versus Dominic Wade and Gonzalez versus Arroyo. We will talk about it some more tomorrow as well with both Larry, and when Alex Perpali comes on, we will discuss that with him too when we do the Blast from the Past. So make sure you stick around. Until then, I will leave you with this. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.